welcome to Sunday evening and Behind the Mic Radio. I am your host, Dawn Mack, and it is so good to have you with us this evening. We are so excited. It's been a great weekend. I hope where you are that the weather has been perfect and beautiful and spring-like. It's finally turning spring here in North Carolina, so we're very ecstatic about that. But we're equally excited because tonight we have our special guest with us. She was actually scheduled to be with us last week, and, there was just a time, scheduling issue, so we were able to get her back on in just a jiff. For tonight, we're so very excited. Our guest this evening is best known for her portrayal of Felicia Forrester on the CBS Daytime drama Bold and the Beautiful. She is also well known for her role of Molly Conlan on As the World Turns, as well as roles on General Hospital, The Young and the Restless, Venice the Series, and The Bay. She is winner of the Daytime Emmy for Outstanding... No?
No, I'm going to stop you because I'm so angry about that, and I'm an outspoken lady. No, I know that's on there. IMDb has it on there. That guy that makes The Bay put me on there. I never, ever did it. So I'm going to stop you because I don't want you to speak lies.
Well, thank you for the correction because, you sometimes think that these things are set in stone and you think they're fact and I wish there was a way we could fact check. I guess to talk to you directly is the more important thing. But So, without further ado, everyone, hello, and we proudly welcome Lesli Kay. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I just can't stand when things are wrong. How are you? It makes me crazy because the internet is a blessing in my mind and a curse, and it's a curse because it lets people go on to IMDb, which is the International Movie Database for people who don't know, and other things, Wikipedia. I will not let my kids use Wikipedia for their school projects because my Wikipedia page was not correct. Finally, I figured out how to make it correct, but anybody can go on and change it. Any one of my, it's not nice.
No, I'm not a fan of Wikipedia either because you don't know, the accuracy. You don't know where the information comes from either. Right. And, who are the authors, so to speak, So I apologize. I had no idea, but I'm so glad that you corrected me because otherwise I wouldn't have known. I would have assumed it was fact, and, I am.
No, but I did just do a web series that I don't think is on there, and it's a really good one. Yeah, it's called Runaways. And the time, I think they're going to put it out as a film unless it might go like on cable. I don't know where it's going to go. But it's made by the guys, Joe Davola and Brian Tolan. They do One Tree Hill and a couple other series that they've had on TV. They're hits. And they're amazing, these guys. And they put together a web series for YouTube. It's like YouTube's original programming web series. And it's called Runaways, and the kids, like one kid, she just got a series on ABC. It's just, the cast is unbelievable. And I was so proud to work with these kids, but I was the mom of these Runaway kids, and it's on YouTube. It's called Awesomeness TV, and you go on YouTube and you put in Awesomeness TV, and it's their original programming channel, and it's called Runaways, and you can see the whole thing for all 3 seasons, I think.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for sharing that because, again, I wouldn't have known that either. I would have added that to the intro had I known it, and thank you so much for telling us because at least now everyone out there is correct in knowing what you've been in, what you haven't been in. And, I wish more actors would clarify because, a lot of times it is difficult to know, and it would certainly clear up a lot of the confusion, in the process. So thank you so very much.
Well, put it this way. If I was getting paid on it, I wouldn't say a word because there is one movie on there. Gary Marshall had hired me to be in his movie, The Other Sister. And it was my very first month on As the World Turns in '97, and I took a week off to come out and shoot it, and they never got to my part because Diane Keaton kept coming to set when she felt like it, late, whenever, and so they just ended up scrapping the part. He kind of wrote it in for me anyway, so I ended up playing cards on set all week with Gary Coleman, who was the security guard, and had a great time. And because they paid me, they had to pay me, so I'm in the credits, but I'm never in the movie. I never shot one lick of footage, but I get residuals on that movie since the day it shot. So that's fine. You know what I mean? It was like I was at least there on set, and I'm making money on it. But when I was never, ever, ever even remotely anywhere near the Bay, I think I went to one of their parties maybe, but and I don't, and I've never seen it, and I don't condone it because I've never seen it, and I would never say, yes, I was. But I will say this, I know I have a lot of friends that are on it, so sure, check it out, but don't expect to see me there.
Well, I'm glad because, anyone that might have, discovered that like I did or thought that you were, or maybe saw it and said, where is Lesli Kay? You just cleared it up, so thank you. Although I'm slightly embarrassed because, I do try to make sure all my information is correct, but sometimes with IMDb, honestly, it is difficult to know if it is or not. You just assume it is. It's kind of like...
In your defense and for your listeners' defense of you, I was supposed to call in early, so we probably could have clarified all that stuff, and I couldn't, so... It's not your fault. It's my fault.
It's okay. Well, we will move right along because, first of all, I want to tell you that the listeners are ecstatic that, you're able to be here today, and we thank you so very much for your time. I know you've been really busy of late, so thank you for being here.
I graduated yesterday. I graduated Friday, surgical technology. I went through 22 months of school. So for any of you single mothers out there that think it's too late, I am 40. I started at 45 and went back to school. I am 47. I'll be 40. And let me tell you, it's the most gratifying, amazing thing. I've wanted to be in medicine my whole life, and the golden handcuffs of daytime television came off because they put me on recurring. And I went, this is the time to do it. And I don't know. I'm sure people do this. I have this little thing, and I'm sure a million people do it. I actually said it to my boyfriend last night, and he's like, I do that too. But, I make little things with myself. Like, okay, if I get nominated, because I had gone back to reprise Molly on As World Turns that year, and I was like, and the minute I did, Bold and Beautiful took me off contract and put me on recurring. And so I told myself, if I get nominated for the Molly work, then that'll be a sign I should just not go back to school yet and keep it. Okay, I didn't get nominated. Then I made myself another little bet. Okay, if this happens, and the last straw is that I finally go back to school, and I'm valedictorian, and I did really, really well. And I did my 6-month internship at UCLA, and that went really well. And in the middle of it all, I've never worked more as an actor. I had 2 Lifetime movies. Because I put my focus somewhere else, and I made acting not important in my life. I just decided I have to do something. I joke around that it's the perfect profession at this age because you wear a mask and your face is covered, and so they only see your eyes. But that's not why I'm doing it. I do it because I wanted to be in medicine and helping people my entire life. And I'm in the OR, and I'm first assistant to the surgeon in a lot of situations. And now I can apply to do that at full time if I wish. But, yeah, I just did 2 Lifetime movies back to back, and then I did a pilot for MTV. And my little thing was to myself, well, if it gets picked up, then I can't tech right away. I would do this show, and then maybe, it didn't get picked up. But it was funny. It was good.
Well, I just want to tell you a huge, huge congratulations. I am actually in school as we speak myself. Actually, before the show, I am majoring in business communications, business administration, but with a concentration in communications. And so this is my 3rd year, and I'm taking all my classes online through Liberty University. And I hope once I'm done, I will go on for my master's in communications. So it is kind of like you. I always wanted to, my thing was that I always wanted to get my college degree. I wasn't able to right out of high school, and due to some family dynamics and things like that. And so it just presented itself later in life. It was something I never gave up on. But, rearing small children, they finally got big enough to kind of fend for themselves. They were, in and out, hey, Mom, bye, Mom. So I'm like, this is the perfect time. And it is such a feeling of accomplishment. I'm like you. I've been Dean's List every semester since I've been in school, and I've just gotten tapped for 2 different honor societies, and the inductions are coming up next month. So, yeah, it is such a sense of accomplishment. I really understand that feeling, and so I'm thrilled for you that, who knew this was your first love? This was what you wanted to be before you got into acting. So I just am totally amazed by that. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Yeah, I just feel like, I actually was pre-med, and my dad told me that I should act because all medicine's going to be socialized. He was an orthopedic surgeon. And when I'm in the OR right now, and I love orthopedics, and I'm helping the orthopedic surgeon put in a total knee or total hip or whatever, I feel my dad. It's really bizarre, but like it's come very natural, and I love it. And he's there. Like I've never felt his presence. He passed away over 20 years ago, and I've never felt his presence more. It's really interesting. But yeah, he never got to see me act really. I was doing like background work or under fives on soaps in New York right out of college, and that's all he saw. He would have the TV like wheeled into the OR so that he could watch me in the background, like, oh, there she is at the bar. But I, as I went along, and of course, it's like I've done a lot in daytime. I've done a lot of film. I've done a lot of guest starring, but you never know when it's going to come. And you never know, like I said, if something's going to get picked up or canceled. And it's a hard way to lead a life when you are trying to raise two boys and have them be proud of you, for one thing, and know how you're going to be able to afford. I think if there's not two people pitching in a relationship and one of them is not an actor, it's really, really difficult. And so I think it's always good, no matter what level of acting you are, you've reached or accomplished or where you are in your life, it's always good to have more than one thing that you can do, because you never know when you're going to need it, or you never know. It's also keeps you interesting. It keeps you interested and keeps your brain working. That was the other thing. I was like, oh my God, I'm in my 40s and my brain needs to be used. Like, and I need to do something. And this was like the perfect fit. Who knew?
Who knew? And so now that as you continue on in that, now that you've graduated and you're pursuing that, I mean, do you think you'll give up acting altogether to
no?
Continue on that?
People say that to me all the time. Oh, so you're quitting acting? No, why would I? It's fun. It's lucrative. It's enjoyable. No, absolutely not. But I will say, because I graduated Friday, took my big CST exam Friday, and had an interview Saturday. And for a renowned plastic surgeon to basically do everything there. And his biggest concern, his biggest concern, because his wife is in the business. And he's like, yeah, but what if a big thing comes up, you're going to take the show, and then I'm going to love you, and then I'm not going to have you. I'm like, no, I don't do that. Like, if I commit that I'm yours, I'm yours. But if something fits in, like a guest star here, a guest star there, or if you have a week where you're not busy and I can do some, of course, like, or if Bold and Beautiful can use me, because I'm still on recurring as Felicia. And Felicia's not going anywhere. I even pitched for me to die, and then Susan died instead. So I did. I pitched. I go, I'm going to be graduating, and I wrote Brad an email. I'm like, so maybe bring the cancer back, and this time you can do what you wanted to do, which was kill Felicia, and it's a win-win. And then I can go on in peace that, like, no one else will ever take over my role, and we're all good, and you can, and she can, like, go out having a baby, and you can name that little girl Felicia. I had this whole thing, like, and then the next thing I know, they're like, we need you in because Susan's dying of cancer, Stephanie. And I was like, oh man, okay. Well, what's in the cards is that Felicia will remain, and Brad cycles. He cycles around, and I feel like. When it fits, if he wants to have me in here and there to propel story or whatever, that could be like the greatest scenario ever, to be a surgical tech and then run over there and shoot some Felicia. But it just keeps life never dull, and it keeps my kids really proud of me. And my older son has gone to a straight A student since I went back to school. We were kind of on the same math level. It's funny because for a surgical tech certification, which I can do anywhere in the world now, by the way. And my goal is to, this summer, be part of a group that goes over to Afghanistan and other places. They go lots of different places, but they go and just donate their time and help put people back together. And like, now I can do that. I'm qualified. And that's an amazing feeling to know that wherever I go in the world, I can do this.
That is amazing.
Doesn't matter what I look like.
Well, and the beauty of this is that you've got two things that you're passionate about that you enjoy, and it's just been it's just a perfect marriage in your life in terms of the fit, and it's all work. But I think anyone that no matter I don't think you're ever too old to stop learning. I mean, learning, if you stop learning, there's no need to exist as far as I'm concerned. There's always something to learn, and you're never too old to go back to school and pursue a degree in something that you want to do. I mean, I'm an advocate for that just because I've done it, and, and it is, I think it's so much more gratifying now than if I had gone right out of high school, because my kids, it's like, and they are great. They're honor students as well, but it's funny because I can always say, hey, look, I work full-time. I have a radio show. I'm a Dean's List student. I'm doing college. What is your excuse? Why are you waiting for today to do this project? I've had that conversation a time or two. So, it's not leveraging, but they are proud of you. I mean, they do like to see, and it's kind of funny because my strong suit is not math, so I've been able to go to my genius son and my daughter and go, okay, help me with this problem.
That's great.
It's kind of weird in a way, but it's neat too. So yeah, my son, he actually is a senior in high school. He's going to be, he's already enrolled at the same university that I am, and he's going to start out his first year taking online courses and get all of his classes out of the way. So we're going to be I've already taken them, but it's going to be neat because he's going to be a freshman, I'm going to be a senior, and it's just weird.
That's
it's great,
cool.
So yeah, we got it all mapped out. It's going to be fun. So I've already said, look, if you're taking these GE courses online, I've got the books. We don't have to buy books. We've got it all mapped out. So it's just kind of neat how it's all played out. But yeah, I mean, it's a great experience, not only just for me, but for my kids to be able to see that.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is the bigger thing, is to have my kids proud of me, of something I'm accomplishing, and seeing, them seeing me set that example for them than, the degree itself, because the degree will sustain itself. It's just the pride that your kids have of what you're doing. So I applaud you immensely for that.
Well, it was hard. It's a 22-month thing, and I started going, how am I going to do this? Like, who's going to pick up the kids? Who's going to drop, the timing? And every quarter was a completely different schedule. And then when you get to clinicals, that's 6 months of 5:30 in the morning and not coming home till about 5 o'clock at night. And I'm like, what am I going to do? That's every day. That's 5 days a week. How am I going to do it? And my mom's like, Lesli, you've got 22 months. You can, that 22 months is going to come and go, and you can end it with a new degree or without one. Figure it out. Mm-hmm. And by the stroke of just a lot of prayer and a lot of help and a lot of friends, for years I was the one, because I was paid to sit home basically for the last couple of years that I was on contract at Bold and Beautiful. And I was there. I was the mom that got to pick all the kids up and help people out. And, so I called in every favor and then some. I've got a lot of people to thank when I give my valedictorian speech. Everybody came through to help. And I started dating an incredible guy who is also, amazing with the kids and very helpful. I'm everything just, worked out to finish this because I was meant to finish it. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what I believed. But if I knew now what I know about how difficult it is, I couldn't have. If anyone told me exactly what this was going to entail, I would never have been able to do it. But ignorance is bliss. I can do this. I can do this. But,
just going into it and not knowing all the rigors of it is probably a good thing, Mm-hmm. But it is interesting how it all kind of works out the way it's supposed to, and if it's meant to. So again, congratulations, because that is such a huge accomplishment. And with your schedule as it has been, just the way that it has, beautifully fit into your life, so it could happen for you now. So that's great. That's great.
Very surprised. I studied so hard, so I would sleep 3 hours a night. And then once clinical started, I had to be studying for the CST exam, plus clinicals, internship, plus, trying to be the best mom I could be and, make sure the kids had a hot meal. And, it's just, I did not sleep. I think I've aged about 15 years in the last 2 years. And it's all good because it's so rewarding. But now it's so weird because I finished on Friday and I'm sitting here going, what do I do? Where my book?
Someone asked me one day, they were like, what are you going to do when you're done with school, you've got your degree, you're not going to have that little filler. I said, believe me, then, I'll start utilizing the degree to my advantage, and putting it to good use in a lot of ways. And I said, of course, there'll be something to take its place, I'm sure. But it's just interesting because you do have that. It's like when I'm on break, it's like, there's no work this week. This is weird. It just feels weird. So I know that feeling, but I don't know quite what it's going to feel like. It's just going to feel almost empty, in a way, initially. And then I'll probably, after about a week, realize, oh, my gosh, it is so nice not to have an exam or to have this work to do, I'll be very glad. It won't take me long to get used to the idea for sure. So... Well,
it's true. I was like, oh, my God. Well, I also got certified in teach yoga. I also cut hair. So, I do, that's when people say, oh, you're quitting acting. I said, no, I don't know about you, but I can do 4 or 5 things at once, and I like to. And I'm more, the busier I am, the more I get accomplished. It just seems like I'm better when I'm busy. And I feel like that when I put everything, it's like I can go back to yoga in the morning. I can go back to being healthy for me. School was incredibly unhealthy for me. Awful.
As it is for every college student on the planet, I believe. That freshman, there is no lie to be found in the college freshman 15.
Yeah.
I mean, there is so much truth in that,
Well, but instead of the freshman 15 where you normally gain the 15, I lost the 15. I just, between being, because I had to not act. I had to not, when I took the spot, they only have 50 spots open every time, and they're always overcrowded, the school, because it's the only school in California, other than one in Sacramento, that offers the correct credentialing. Because certified surgical technologist is different now. In the last few years, it's become a position you have to be certified. So a lot of times it was the operating room nurse, or you could do the job and not have to have the correct certification, and now it's completely changed. So even people that have been doing it for 20 years are going to be fired if they don't get their certification. So I took my test on Friday. I won't get the results back till the 18th, but I'm pretty certain, and I don't want to jinx myself, but I think I passed it. Did I get the highest grade? I don't know. I didn't have, it's like I just relied on the fact that I know this job, and I'm good at it. So, and it's kind of like, I also coach kids acting, mostly kids. I have one adult client, but I love coaching as well because I feel like I'm really good at seeing what people need to be feeling in a scene and calling them on their BS when I don't believe it. And if you are acting and it's not believable, then you shouldn't be in front of the camera. Because people can tell, you can tell. If you go into an audition and you're monitoring yourself and you remember anything you said, you weren't in it. You weren't. And the biggest thing about being a good actor is being a good listener. And people get way too internalized. And so it's really fun. I love coaching people.
Well, it definitely, your experience in the business, it definitely shines through on screen. Everything I've ever seen you do is totally believable. I first came to know you when you landed in Oakdale on As the World Turns as Molly Conlan. And, boy, I'm going to tell you what, there were days I could just come to that TV and shake Molly and go, what are you doing?
Right?
But you played her so well and you made her your own. And were there any aspects of yourself that you incorporated into that character too? Because it was incredibly believable.
I think in daytime television, particularly when you play the same character for years and years and years and years and years, it may not have started out that way, but ultimately that character, good, bad, ugly, becomes a large part of you. So I do think that if you see someone that is innately bitchy, then they probably are. If you see someone that innately can walk the fence, people always say, is she good character, bad character? I go, I don't know. Are you a good character or bad character? Who says they're good or bad? Who? I don't walk through life going, I'm a good guy, I'm a bad guy. You don't do that. So as a character playing Molly, who's a person, she's a person in Oakdale who relates to all these different people different ways. Yeah, it might be not so nice to some, but, they're not so nice to me. Or I might be overly loving to some because I have such a big heart for that person. But it doesn't mean that you walk through life always doing good or always doing bad. So I always felt that to be a funny question. Are you a good character or a bad character? And it's like there are those evil, innately evil people. And yes, Joe Mascolo couldn't be further from an evil person ever. And he plays Stefano DiMiro so well and so evil and so wonderful. But he's a caricature. Like, that character is a caricature. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think as Lois on General Hospital, that was my biggest challenge as an actress, I think, to date. Because, number one, I was replacing someone, which I know I did as Felicia, but that was different because I had full reign to make Felicia completely my own. I never saw the other actress play Felicia. I never watched any tape. I didn't care. But as Lois, there was a very distinct caricature that Rena Sofer brought to that character with the accent and the long nails and the thing and the book. And so you kind of had to bring that, or it's not that character. And you can't completely rewrite history and make sure, So I felt like there was kind of a big comparison then. But, kind of not. Sometimes I would be at the grocery store and somebody would be like, oh, my God, I'm so glad you came back. And I'm like, came back? I'm not. I just came. But but I feel like as Molly in particular, and definitely Felicia, like, there was a large part of me in there. Absolutely. I mean, I am outspoken. I do think that if you don't stand up for yourself, nobody's going to. Now, I wasn't always that way. I definitely was not that way when I started as Molly, and I think it showed. And that's kind of like why it was so easy to be such a different person as Felicia. And it was funny because Maura West and a couple other people that judged the year that I was nominated for Bold and Beautiful when I had the cancer story, they had never seen me play Felicia a day. They were busy in their own soap and in their own world. And a couple people, particularly her, said to me, it's not, there's no Molly in there. None. Like, it's just a completely, I said, yeah, Felicia comes from a different world. She comes from money. She's intelligent. She thinks before she speaks, but she says it anyway. Whereas Molly really didn't. I mean, she really did. She just kind of wore her heart on her sleeve and said whatever she thought and really always believed she was doing well and nice and good things for people. It just didn't always turn out that way. But, I always felt like Molly did have this, like, crazy heart of gold, and that there was a large part of me. But the vulnerability comes from the fact that I honestly am incredibly vulnerable. What's the word that people like to label? Someone's told me, codependent. That's it. Molly was the craziest codependent ever on the planet. And I'm sure at that time so was I, So that I do think that comes into play. Lisa, Eileen Fulton said to me once when I came on and I was really despicable, and though I had that, the 3-year contracts that mean nothing in daytime because it just means that if they want you, they've got you for 3 years, but they can also can your ass in a day. So I came on thinking I'll be her month, particularly with the fact that I was splitting up Lily and Holden, like the beloved couple, and, giving them grief. And I thought, oh, people are going to hate this. And I didn't care because Eileen Fulton said, you're vulnerable. Like, you play that vulnerability, and believe me, as Lisa, I know, you can do the worst thing in the world, and people are forgiving because they see that you feel it, and you're honest. And if you're honest in that character, and Molly's love for Holden was incredibly honest, incredibly true. And she came on and Lily befriended her in prison, right? And then I dropped the soap a few times. I'm kidding. We used to joke about that all the time. and then she offered to get me, she helped get me out of jail because I was innocent. And she knew I was innocent and didn't do what I'd do. So there you go. Molly's like that person who's always in the wrong place at the wrong time with horrible luck and bad choices. And then Lily brings me to her house to find out that the Holden that I, had a baby with and was in love with was the same Holden she had. Well, that, that's like a built-in, it's like I didn't come to town with a vengeance to pull the plug on Lily. But Molly was very, I had blinders on for Holden. So it didn't matter. I just wasn't, and I could see that Lily wasn't good to him. Or in her eyes, it was like Lily's not treating him the way I would treat him. Lily's not. Oh, my God, there was a great movie, and I didn't even think of this till right now, but what was that movie recently with Charlize Theron, and she goes back to high school, and she thinks she's going to get her love back? Did you see that?
Oh, my gosh. I see it. I cannot think of the title of it, but I know which one you're talking about.
And she's like, she's going to save him from that horrible marriage and that horrible baby. And it just made me laugh so hard. Now I realized that was very Molly. But she played it, you didn't at all get mad at her. You saw the pity and the pathetic, like, ways of her, that character that she played. And I felt like, so yes, in a very long answer, I think that in daytime television, there's always part of the person and the character. If Kelly, my KKL, if Kelly Lang weren't so, I mean, she has this sweet, my kids call her Blessy, because there's a certain type of Pokemon that's just always nice and happy, and they're called Blessies, I guess. And so they call Kelly Blessy, because she's just an innately good, natured, amazing, best friend. I'm wearing like 5 of her hand-me-downs as I'm talking to you right now. She's just like, and if she weren't that way, if Kelly weren't that person, the despicable things that Brooke has done, I mean, crazy things that Brooke, it would have been horrible. She would be the town slut. She'd be, pariah. She's not. She's like, it's because of her, though. So I do think that the large part of the characters that really last and are beloved in daytime, it's because there's something innate in the person that portrays it that's bringing that part of themselves to the character. Now, not the same in, like, film or whatever, because there's a beginning, middle, and end. There's an arc. You can go into it and really delve into these minds of these characters, and it's just for that time. It's not necessarily the same. But in daytime television, day in, day out, you got to draw on yourself.
Oh, yeah, because, when in the role of Molly, I mean, initially when, they introduced Molly into As War Turns, I mean, she, when the viewers were going, what do you mean we've got somebody here trying to break up Lily and Holden? But as the storyline unfolded, you couldn't help but like Molly, because you could see that vulnerability, and you could see, her true intentions and where her heart really was. It was nothing.
Oh, my God, that wedding.
No
I'm having all these flashbacks. I'm so sorry to interrupt. But the flashback of the big changing point, I was told by the producers. They thought when I was going to be thinking I was marrying Holden, and it was Lily and Holden's wedding, and I'm thinking it's me. And they thought that'd be it. That'd be the end of Molly, because people were going to hate Molly. And they got so many letters and fan mail saying that we wanted Molly with Holden, because the way that they deceived her, the deceitfulness of, like, telling me that there was going to be a wedding at this time, and it was just sending me to the wrong place and getting me all, and letting me get all ready for it, letting me go. Like, the way that it was set up, and then for me to walk in, and there's Lily and Holden standing there getting married, and Martha was, like, 7 months pregnant at the time, I think. So Molly walks in, I'm in my little dress and the little thing, and tears and the mascara and the running, and the famous line that John Hensley still likes to quote to me and make fun of me, "You were supposed to marry me." It was so real. Like, there was a very real, bizarre disconnect and moment there. So I think that's what got me my next contract that day. That's what I was told, that particular day,
Yeah, well, and I'm so glad that the storyline unfolded the way it did. I mean, as much as we love our favorite folk couples, there's always an interesting point when someone gets introduced into a storyline that is, that could possibly wreak havoc or, be a potential new love interest, because I think that needs to happen in daytime just to keep it fresh and exciting, and, and the viewers have their opinions, but it is always, it seems like in the end it always kind of works out the way it's supposed to, but in the meantime it wouldn't be called daytime drama if there wasn't drama, so
right.
It's all part of it.
And the minute you're a happy couple, you're screwed. So you don't ever want that. You always want somebody messing with you. But the thing with John Hensley, who is now, I guess he was recurring or doing a little bit as a doctor on Bold and Beautiful, and I haven't gotten to work with him, and I was like, oh my God, I'm just like, I so wish that they would give me a day with him, because to be Felicia with his other character, like, I would love to work with John in a different light where it's not Molly. Like, Molly, he could do no wrong. He had to be Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Everything, and I would love, like, Felicia would eat him alive, Holden. Not this dog, but it would be so much fun to work with him as Felicia and not Molly. I just wish, I keep begging or praying or whatever, but I don't know that it'll ever happen. But it would.
I'm going to make the plea to the fans now here listening that everyone needs to write Bold and Beautiful peeps and the higher-ups and just say, hey, everybody's been screaming they want John on there, and I see people want you on there, and it's like, Okay, hello, light bulb. We could have a great pairing here, coupling, Felicia needs a love interest big time. And hello, that's kind of a perfect scenario right there, So we would keep our fingers crossed. That would be awesome because I would love to see, the Felicias and the Thorns and some of the other characters, that have been recurring to be on there on a more regular basis. Just because I love your character on Bold and Beautiful. I've always loved it from day one. I love the cancer storyline. Again, you just played that so beautifully well, so believable. And, for anyone who's ever went through cancer or had a loved one that dealt with it, I mean, it was like we were walking through it with you. It was like it was really happening. And how difficult was it for you to play that storyline?
Well, the irony there, and it's just bizarre, but they wrote the same kind of cancer that my dad died from, the exact same, and it's not common. A lot of them are sarcoma of the small bowel that moved to the intestines and got my liver, and it was the same cancer, and it was now stage 4 by the time, Felicia, because I made the decision to have the baby and stop the cancer drugs, right? And then I come back, and then the cancer is there, and it's full force. And my dad had a liver transplant, and Patrick Mulcahy, who wrote that, his mom had a liver transplant at the same hospital in Pittsburgh where my dad had a liver transplant. So it was her story, but it was inevitably and weirdly and miraculously my father's story. So I had the same story, and I had agreed to shave my head on camera. I had agreed to all that, and it was the night before, and I'm laying in a coma in the hospital bed, and I'm sitting there thinking, God, I need a sign that this is the right thing to be doing. I need a sign that this is, that I should be doing this, because at the time my hair was long and thick, and the first time I'd ever let it grow that long, and I wasn't attached to it, but I was also like, this is just let me know, I need a sign. Well, when my dad was on his dying bed, right prior to him knowing he was sick, even he drove me out west, and we did not stop at the Grand Canyon because it was an hour out of the way, and he was in a hurry to get back to his practice, and I was in a hurry to get to LA, and we didn't go. And on his deathbed, 2.5 years later, because he'd already had the cancer and we didn't even know at that time, he squeezed my hand and he said, Les, don't ever pass up the Grand Canyon, meaning literal and figuratively and everything. And Price is Right shoots right there on the same floor as Bold and Beautiful and Young and the Restless. And I'm laying in the hospital, and I'm like, sign. And we'd worked late that night. It was like 6 or 7, so Price is Right had finished, and they were wheeling everything down the hallways. And I had like my head kind of down. I was tired, and I walk out of our studio and smack into one of those wheeling billboards for prizes you can win for, and it was a big, huge wheeling billboard of the Grand Canyon. And I literally walked smack into it, and I was like, oh my God. And I asked the guys, I'm like, I've never seen this one before, and they're like, no, this is not a usual one. This is we just made this one up. I'm like, that is crazy. So it was like, yeah, I'm doing
there's
everything
the sign.
here.
Wow.
But I believe in those things, and I believe when you're not, like, seeing them, that the universe literally hits you with them. So, so you
you're
can't miss it.
With that, aren't you? I know sometimes we have to get smacked upside the head in order to really see it for what it, when something is trying to get our attention. We have to be smacked sometimes because otherwise it's impossible at times.
It's there and you're not seeing it. But I would get those scripts and I would read it and cry hysterically, remember? And my dad even left us all tapes, like cassette tapes, because at the time he couldn't shoot the video at that time, 20-something years ago, but he left us all cassette tapes with messages, and they had me even do that. Like I did that recorded message to my son, and it was just crazy. I would get the scripts and I would go, back in my head, is he in my life? Like, what is going on? And I would cry, and I would have to contain myself because this can't all be a big cry fest. Like, I have to figure out, like, a strength, a really big strength to make this come from a point of strength for people out there that are sick and whatever. And I did get a great response from people that were sick and dying of cancer. I really did. And then Susan said to me, thank God, because she had gone through cancer in her own life. And she was like, thank God you shaved your head, because if you didn't, I wasn't going to do the storyline with you. And I didn't know that, I didn't know that at all. But I just knew that I didn't want to. I had 2 cousins at home at that time, women with cancer and bald heads, and I was like, I can't wear a bald head wig and offend people. Like, if this is going to be done, it has to be done the right way. And it wasn't that I had an Emmy, and I know how little they actually do for you. It wasn't about an Emmy. It wasn't about anything other than doing that story. If someone gives you a cancer storyline, and that's a huge responsibility to do it justice, in my opinion. And fortunately, you can't do that alone. Fortunately, I was surrounded by Susan Flannery and John McCook, and Jack Wagner and I had an amazing day. Like, just he, for all of his bullshit, and I can say that because I don't think he was my biggest fan necessarily. I don't think he really wanted me there, and I'll say that to his face. But we had amazing material together. We did. Like, there was a thing that when we were actually going at it, there was a mutual respect for ability, and I think we had some really good moments together and very real moments. And then Windsor Harmon and Ron just like is the most loving soul on this planet. And like I was surrounded by people that made that work. And that's what I think the beauty of that storyline was. It wasn't me. It was it at all. It was the bringing of the family together, which is what people love to see. That's why it did well. That's why it did well in the ratings, because it was a common interest to bring the family, the Forrester family that people love to see, together.
Most definitely. But it was so well played. I mean, it was beyond, the acting. It was very believable, and it was almost as if, what any family who's been through that could totally relate. I mean, that's just how it was conveyed and the way it was written. It was just so well done. And I love storylines, as difficult as they can be to watch. Even with Susan, the way they wrote hers for the end of her, her time on Bold, it was still so hard to watch, but yet it was incredible,
I know.
And unforgettable. I mean, those are the storylines that are just absolutely unforgettable, and that is what makes people remember not just the storyline, but the actors who portrayed it and carried it out.
I know. I was sad I didn't get to do more with her. I was really sad that I didn't get to do more with her in that cancer I felt like, I was brought in for the tail end and a how you do and a goodbye, Mom. But, and I brought as much to it as I possibly could. They ended up cutting a lot of it because the shows were so long. And I had great moments with her that they did in, like, fast motion and MOS without sound. But it didn't matter. It's just I wish for my own selfishness and also my love for Susan and love for working with her, I wish I'd gotten to do, it would have been so incredibly rewarding to do a little flip of the cancer taken care of that she did with me and try to fight for her the way she did for me. I think that would have been a beautiful, incredible, but, it wasn't in the cards, and I understand completely why they had to do the Brooke and Stephanie stuff, because for the fans' sake, they've followed that couple, if you will, since the beginning of time on it. So, but I just wish that I could have had a little more with her on the cancer end, some talk about it, to her letting me know she had it. It was like I showed up with Kristen, and then it was like silence, and then the party, and then it was done.
Yeah, and and it's interesting that you mentioned that, because as I was watching that unfold, I was like, now this would be a great tie-in, especially since Susan's leaving the show. This would be such an awesome tie-in to have, Felicia in the mix beyond, at the end. I mean, I was disappointed in that way, just because of all, your storyline of the cancer storyline was so huge, and it did so well. And it was almost like, wow, that's kind of like, that was an injustice, I felt like, just from a viewer standpoint.
Well, thanks. I agree. I always feel like you've got to take advantage of those moments for the fans' sake and for the show's sake, and then let it go, but let it be what it is. But I also feel like, and I'm being crazy candid, because guess what? I have another career. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to that business in general, when people say, oh, my child wants to be an actress, what should they do? And I'm not to be discouraging, but I say do anything else but, and here's why. Unless you're really, really good about not needing validation from anybody other than yourself, unless you're really, really good at denial, that, why you don't get a job or why you do get a job, because the truth of how good you are as an actress is somewhere in the middle of what you hear, what you read. But the fact is, you can be as professional as you could possibly be. You could be as well-trained as you could possibly be. You could know all your lines, backwards, sideways, forwards, show up, know all your blocking, always be on time, and you're not going to be the one that gets the storyline. for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. They reward because of what they want to write or because of fan response, whatever. They reward horrible behavior in that business. And that to me is so unjust and such BS. And when you're in the operating room, all they care about is that you can help save a life. It's based on your ability. It is totally on your ability. It's not on who's your favorite, who's the favorite, who's the only factor is your ability to come in, make it all about the people involved, know your stuff, don't get in the way, just add to and help save a life and get out. And it's the complete opposite. So maybe that's a great balance, you know. Maybe I found like the key to success in my head, you know, is that I'm not sitting around going, oh my God, they're not using me. Like, what did I do? Did I offend someone? You do. You can't help but take, even though it's not personal, you can't help but take it personal. You can't.
Well, and especially when you're on a show and then all of a sudden you're recurring, and you know you would have to ask that. That's human nature. I mean, but the beauty of doing what you do on the medical side of things is that is so much bigger in terms of what you're able to do for other people than daytime or anything else, really, because when you're talking about saving a life is a life, you know, and you may only get that one chance to save that life, you know, and as you know, daytime, it recycles, and it storylines come and go, and the fans remain, you know, but to save a life, you may not get that chance. So it's so critical. And I just think what you're doing is absolutely fabulous. I mean, it's like I always had mad respect for you as an actress, but I mean, it's just different now because I'm like, next time I see you on Bald, I'll go, oh, my gosh, she's like this medical professional, and, you know, off camera, she's got this other life besides the Lesli Kay that is just phenomenal. And, you know, it's just great what you're doing. I am so excited for you. And, so, and of course, we always look forward to seeing you on Bold, and hopefully you'll get more opportunities. But again, I'm excited that you're out there and you're helping save people's lives as well. So that is
that's the thing is you always say things happen for a reason, maybe not for the best at the time. You don't know why, but just I've had people say you are so lucky in this. No, actually, I haven't. The person that had it right is my older son, who said to me, "You're the luckiest unlucky person I've ever met." And it's true, and it's funny. It's just funny. It's just like the timing of the story that Felicia finally had at Young and the Restless, and the writer's strike happened, and Josh Griffith sort of felt like he kind of got a raw deal. But he's the one that came up with bringing me over there. And he's like, oh, my God, it's great. It's going to go on for a while. It's this big, long story. All the wardrobe person was like getting all this wardrobe, like it was going to be this big. And then the writer's strike happened, and he got canned in the whole thing, and then the whole thing got dumped by somebody didn't like the way that, I won't name names, well, fuck it, I'm being very candid, so I will say it. Barbara Bloom, who actually was a very dear friend, who was the head of CBS at the time, she thought Felicia was being written like a whorish type of character, and never came to me, never said anything. They just dumped the storyline rather than trying to fix it. And when I found that out, I said to her, oh, my God, how well do you know me? That doesn't mean I would have played it that way. I don't care how you write a character. It's up to the actor to portray it how in a redeeming or in a light where they feel like in their mind it's true. And you can't play a whore if you're not one. You just don't do that. You just you created something else in your head and in your portrayal. And did you not have the faith in me to fix it?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's kind of like this is not your first time around the acting block, you know. I mean, look at the character of Molly and how well you played her, and she had so many dimensions and to her and layers, but yet, at the end of the day, you still liked her. I mean, there were moments you couldn't stand her, you couldn't stand what she was doing, but you couldn't help but like her. But she had so many redeeming qualities. When it was all said and done.
Thanks. I liked her, but I'm a little biased. But I also feel like with any character that you bring to another show, there's always there's a period of trying to fit in and this is the same character. You have to be true to you, but you're working with. Well, okay, think about life. What if you move? You're in a whole new city. You've got a chance. You have a chance right then and there to change anything you didn't like about yourself or how people knew you because you're in a whole new place. Well, that's the same thing. So, yes, Felicia might have been a little different on Y&R than on B. That's because you're around different people. You do act different around different people. So to me, I can justify anything, and I feel like it was very justifiable that she was different, very different on that show, and I felt like it was an opportunity. She was going to a new city. She was working with different people, and it was an opportunity to be a little different. And it's kind of fun to do that. But it didn't work out for whatever reason. And who knows? Like that could come back around too. I love Josh Griffith. I think he's crazy talented, and he's at the helm of everything at Y&R at the moment, I believe. Right? Am I wrong? I'm kind of behind the times, but
he and Jill Farron-Phelps are in charge now, Jill, writing.
And Jill was the one that hired me at General Hospital. And I feel like I feel like they're so very talented and very talented together. And so you never know. You never know what can happen. But I do know that if I'm not in the OR saving lives as well, I would never be fulfilled or happy. So
right. Well, it definitely sounds like across the board you're fulfilled in many, many ways in many areas of your life, and that's a gift. I mean, a lot of people can't say that. I mean, to be able to do one thing that you're passionate about, to be able to have more than one thing, it's just a blessing. So it's awesome that you kind of have the best of both worlds in a way, you know, that you're able to live out multiple dreams, and that's so cool. That is just so cool. That's a rare opportunity that a lot of people don't get to do. So.
Well, congratulations to you for going back to school, because I know it's not easy. It's not easy.
Well, thank you. I'm excited. It's I can't believe that I'm just about to be in my fourth year and final year. It's like, really, where has the time gone? It's been the quickest time of my life, I think, other than rearing kids and watching them grow up before my eyes, almost in a blur. But yeah, it's gone very quickly, but yet there are other days I go, really, or am I not done with this yet? You know, so it just depends on the day and the moment sometimes. I know. Before we let you go, we got a couple calls on hold. Have you got time to take a call or two?
Sure.
Okay, all righty. Well, all right, the first call is David. David, hello, you're on with Leslie.
Hi, Leslie. How are you?
I'm good, David. How are you?
I'm doing good. I was fortunate to meet you at the As the World Turns luncheon back in '02. You were the first star I met, and I'll never forget it. You were so beautiful.
Oh, what do you look like? I wonder if I have a really good memory for faces and stuff. So, what do you look like?
5'11", short dark hair.
And it was the one. It was the one where I was standing with Tom Eplin, I believe. Right? That was right before he left the show. Yeah, that was his last. He did that luncheon.
Yep. I came the year after. I think he left. He wasn't at the one I was at.
He wasn't. So that was Mark Collier.
I think it was Mark. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good luncheon. I love that luncheon. I'm picturing the whole thing now. Well, I'm glad that we got to meet in person. And what's your favorite storyline that you ever saw on daytime television? And don't say mine. Like, just literally, what was your favorite storyline?
My favorite one on daytime, it's Molly and Jake.
Oh, yeah. I love him. You know what's funny about that is that really was like, it was so real that, like, I'm being crazy candid today, so I'm saying everything the truth because I think the truth needs to come out sometime. We were so real. Now, in real life, we were best of friends. Never, ever, never, ever, 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 never romantic, right? But we were so real, I guess. Powers that be were so worried that, like, we were fooling around or something. And I think that was part of the reason that he got canned. They were worried for me because he's such a player, and they were so worried. And I guess I was like, was I that believable as an actress? Because I don't find Tom one iota like in my life in that way. I don't look at him in that way. He was like a big brother, you know. But I was like, well, that must have really looked good on camera then. All right.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was like Molly's turning point. It was almost like Molly's turning point, because here she was going to be a wife and a mother to the two little girls.
Yeah. Oh, I still, it's funny because before I started on As the World Turns, when I was just kind of I was auditioning and I was living in LA and I was on the treadmill at the gym during the hours that Another World was on. And I would watch Jake and Dickie, and I would see how real they were. I was like, I loved that couple. I loved them. They were made. And I was not a soap watcher growing up necessarily because I didn't have a TV, but I became one, right, and at the gym. And I loved Jake and Dickie, loved them. And then cut to a couple years later, and I'm in between them on a Soap Opera Digest cover. There was Vicky and me in the middle and Jake, and I laughed so hard. Just one of those moments where you laugh at yourself going, oh, my God, I'm such a geek. Yeah. It's like I composed myself between favorite soap person people, you know. It was so funny. But that was a dream come true for me to work with those two. So thanks for liking it.
Oh, it was an awesome storyline, and I think you brought a couple tears to my eye.
Oh, that was awesome. Well, thanks. That was, and I laughed so hard, but that was a ghost story,
Yeah.
And somehow that ghost story made you cry and got me an Emmy. So I was forever grateful for Hogan Sheffer and all the people that brought that to life. Because when we were on, and that's the other thing, David, that you bring up, which I love, and I know that I should shut up because I'm talking too long, but is that I think this overwriting of characters on soaps is, like, when are they going to learn? Write everybody 2 days a week. Why do people have to be written 5 days a week and overused and jammed down people's throats? That story was only a 2-day-a-week story. And people loved it. It was, yeah. Yep. It was never the A story. It was always just a 2-day-a-week. And it became like the favorite story because people couldn't wait to see it because it wasn't on every day. And I think if they did that more, like split it up, like maybe Monday, Wednesday, like they do it on my favorite show in the world, which is Walking Dead. Not every week you get to see your favorite characters, and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. And I think that too much they overuse people.
That's very true. I agree wholeheartedly.
I do too. I guess less is more. Is that
yeah. I do. I think, or just share it, split it up so that people are, Oh, my 7-year-old just woke up. He was taking a nap and he doesn't feel well.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, David, you're awesome. Thanks for being such a good viewer, and I really appreciate your support in the business because Daytime needs to stay on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
I miss you. You need to be on the air more.
Oh, thank you.
And I did tweet B&B about you and John.
Oh, good. You're awesome. Thank you. I mean, look, I just think it'd be fun. Like I said, I've got stuff going on and everything's good, but I just would love it. I think it'd be really, even if it was for 5 episodes, it would just be really great.
I think so too. It would give the As the World Turns fan, a great rush to see you both together on B&B,
right,
in a scene and a storyline. That would be awesome.
And it is CBS, after all.
It is.
Yes, that's right. Well, David, thank you so very much for your call, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Leslie, and thank you, Dawn. It was a pleasure.
Bye, David.
Always. Thank you, David.
Yes. Good night.
Good night.
Well, Leslie, we have reached the top of the hour. It's been so much fun. It's been the quickest hour of my day.
I'm sorry for anybody else that called that we didn't get to. I'm sorry. I talked too much.
It's okay. It's okay. And also, I want to be mindful of your time, and also your little one. He's not feeling well. So I know being a mom, those things, take precedence. So we don't want to hold you. But thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for sharing some great memories. It's been great, and we'd love to have you back anytime. But we are going to keep our fingers crossed that we will see you again real soon on B&B.
I will.
And wherever
thank
else
you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you, and take care.
Okay, bye. Have a good night.
All right, you too now. Bye-bye. I hope you have enjoyed our interview with Lesli Kay. She is wonderful, and that was such a great interview because, I really do enjoy when we have guests that will come on and they will openly talk about their personal feelings or their thoughts about certain things going on in daytime. And as you know, this was very candid, and she spoke her mind. And, because I think sometimes as viewers, we're often curious as to what is running through the actors' minds with some of the, the storylines that are happening and some of the logistics behind the scenes with the higher-ups and the powers that be that are making these decisions, in the interest of the shows based on, viewer ratings and show ratings and things of that nature. And it's always nice to kind of get a refreshing point of view from the actors themselves. So I enjoyed speaking with her, and I hope that you enjoyed hearing what she had to say. She's a great, great interview, and we would love to have her back anytime, and hopefully we will down the road when she has her next project out there that she's promoting. But she's great. So, and for anyone that we were not able to get to today, I do apologize. I just simply didn't feel comfortable holding her any longer with, her. I know you heard her little boy woke up and he wasn't feeling well, so I certainly didn't want to hold her in lieu of that. But definitely we will try to have her back, and for just to take maybe a half-hour call, if nothing else. So we will let you know if and when that will be rescheduled. But for everyone who listened today, thank you so very much. Well, that is going to wrap our show, but before we close, I wanted to let you know that tomorrow evening, 7 p.m., we have another guest from Bold and the Beautiful on. She plays the role of Donna Logan Forrester, and it's Jennifer Garice. So very excited to be speaking with her as well. I'm sure we will get some more perspective on the show and her role, and so we'll be able to chat with her about the comings and goings of things that are happening on B&B and her career as well. And I don't know if you remember, but Jennifer, the first time I saw Jennifer in daytime was on The Young and the Restless many, many years ago. She played the role of Grace, which was Sharon's best friend, childhood best friend, I believe it was. She came to Genoa City and, of course, had the affair with Nick. I know many of you remember that. That was where I first came to know, her. So, and then, of course, she surfaced years later on B&B. So, it'll be interesting to hear, where her career has taken her and how she ended up in daytime. So that is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. We got a great week of shows lined up, so feel free to check out our website. It's behindthemicradio.com to stay up on all the guests that we have coming. And then, we're booking them. Seems like every day we're getting somebody new added to the mix. And we have just about all of April booked. We're starting to work on May right now. So it's going to be a good spring and summer coming. We've got some great guests lined up. So thank you again for being with us today and tuning in. If you're brand new to our show, welcome aboard. We hope that it will not be your last time here. And I just hope that everyone's had a great weekend. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Take care, all. Good night.
Thanks for listening to tonight's show. You can connect to Behind the Mic Radio on Twitter at BT Mic Radio and on Facebook at Behind the Mic Radio. Check out our website at BehindTheMicRadio.com. Also, follow us right here on Blog Talk Radio, where you can stay up to date on all upcoming shows. Every episode is available for immediate download upon the conclusion of each broadcast and, as always, on iTunes. Thank you for joining us. Tonight's show has been brought to you by One taste of Main Street Cake Shop's baked from scratch custom-made cakes and cupcakes and you'll be hooked. Every cake is made to order with only the finest and freshest ingredients. This is no ordinary bakery. Cakes are never pre-made. Main Street Cake Shop is in demand, having provided cakes and cupcakes for numerous prestigious events, bridal fairs, and venues. Owned and operated by April Murray, she has garnered many awards for not only her exquisite cake designs, but also for their incredible taste. If you're looking for a cake for any occasion, or cupcakes in a variety of flavors, then Main Street Cake Shop is the place. Visit them on the web at mainstreetcakeshop.com.